Welcome to episode 19 of the Briefcase in the Barn. Today's segments are Dead Guy Quotes, Book Report, Let's Get Political, Words of a Wise Man, and Now That's Funny. You ready, Gary?
Kyle and I agree on a lot of things. We do not agree on, I don't like the segments portion. So appreciate listener feedback.
Yes. Actually,
For or against. It's not a sides thing. Like, I'm about good content. So if people like that, it probably depends on how your brain works.
Actually, there's a couple notes before we get started here.
I'm more of a rabbit trailer, right? So I feel like I'm being put in a box, and yeah, I don't like that.
Okay, a couple notes before we get started. Listener questions. We want to hear from you. So send them in. So if it's feedback on how the show is set up or on the content, or if you have a question that you're curious about that you think would be fun for us to talk about or good for us to talk about, send them in. So on our social media or text us if you have a number or whatever it is, but we want to hear from you. And then secondly, overtime. So after we have this show, Gary and I go into overtime and have a non-scripted open conversation on whatever's top of mind for us. So you can actually support the show by subscribing to that on my Patreon, so link in the description. And or if you're listening on Spotify, you can see that in your feed now. And it will be on Apple Podcasts as well, hopefully by next week when this gets published.
I let loose a little more in the overtime. I feel a little more comfortable.
It's wild.
Well, Gary I just feel more comfortable, right? Because I know that not as many people are listening.
Yeah, and it's not scripted, so you feel more comfortable. Anyways, Dead Guy Quotes. This is the quote. This is from Rumi, 13th century poet. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself.
Ooh, deep. Say it one more time slowly for all the dumb farmers that are listening.
Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself.
It's actually very connected to our reading about anger.
Anger? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I love this quote because, I very much identify it, and something I'm still learning, but I think I've done a lot of learning in is if I do actually want to change the world, I do it by changing myself, by working on myself. You cannot change anybody else. And there's so many things in this world or about other people that can easily frustrate us. And we think, especially when we're younger, I think, just go out there and say, I'm going to, go fix these people, and we
change how they think about things.
Change how they think about things, whatever it is. And it doesn't work. It's not effective. And I think it is wisdom to say, hey, no, I'm going to work on myself and my own character flaws or whatever it is. And I really believe when you do that
whenever you say quotes like that, it makes me not want to do the podcast.
That's good. Wisdom.
Well,
but you would say,
I would say it's wrong to talk publicly, but
I've
done a lot of work on myself.
Yeah.
There's still a lot more to do yet, unfortunately.
You don't do freedom sessions 7 times or 8 times, whatever it is, and not work on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I still feel really convicted about things like, you bug me about the whole spending time with family, but it's just been even weighing on me in the last days as friends of mine are struggling with their children and there's some really, really serious stuff going on. It's like, oh man, am I spending enough time where it really matters, wife and kids? Yeah. And everything else, you get so many more pats on the back for almost everything else that you do, right? But yet the most important area of ministry for men and women, I guess, but yeah, is in our home, right? So
that's also something you mentioned to me a lot too when we started hanging out was like, stop. You're like, I think you would say, yeah, you're great at helping other people. You need not worry about that. You got your own crap to deal with.
Yeah, it's the old analogy of the mask dropping down, right? On the plane, right? Just put your own on. Put yours on first.
Yeah, get help yourself work. Yeah, the analogy is, if you don't know, it is on a plane. If you flown anywhere and they tell you the safety briefing, if the masks come down, to always put on, if you have a kid with you, to put on your own mask first before you put on your kid's mask. And the analogy is take care of yourself, and then you'll be able
or you won't be able to care for your family if you're not doing well, right? And there's thousands of examples of that in all of our lives, right? Where people are not looking after their marriage and then their kids end up suffering. So they're all worried about their kids. Well, no, first it would start with yourself and then your spouse and then your kids. Well, we don't necessarily do things in that order, right? We tend to the kids have a problem. Well, no, your marriage, I always tell that to my kids when we're often, I'm kind of shorting them or I'm saying, hey, this bedtime's short. Well, it's like your mom and I have not spent enough time, and that is my primary goal. And I think that's healthy. And kids feel safe when their parents are doing well, right? So it's like, how do you create that, in your home.
And even things just like having great, like once you learn to have grace for yourself and your own mistakes and don't demand perfection from yourself, like I'm a perfectionist and I try to like, I need to be better, I need to be better. Then I also project that on other people, or I project it on my kids, especially, right? It's the people that are closest to you, and how unhelpful it is. And how do I fix that? I learned to be more gracious towards my kids, but also learning to be gracious towards myself and forgive myself for my failings, whatever. And then you can forgive others. And I think it all comes back to yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because along the lines of the quote, I've always wanted to make a difference. And then for years, just floundered, like early 2000s all the way, probably really till 2010 or maybe even longer later. And then it's like, well, then when you are working on yourself and you get healthy, it's amazing how God just starts to kind of bring these opportunities into your life where people are asking you to do things or be involved in things, and things that I never even would have dreamt that I would have been a part of, right? So it's pretty interesting.
Or you have an impact where you don't even realize.
Yeah.
And you just have no idea. You find out years later that you said something or whatever. But I mean, often we don't even have, if you don't work on yourself, you're usually doing something unhealthy, and then you don't even have the capacity to help others.
Yeah. So this is a rabbit trail, but like there was somebody that's pretty close to me, great guy, was doing some online gambling. And I don't know how many people are into that, but I mean, there's a lot of betting ads.
Sports betting?
Yeah, sports betting. And fascinating, and obviously remain unnamed, but just interesting how, and then was worried about the website seemed a bit sketchy and wasn't sure they're going to get their money back. And it's fascinating how, like, first of all, you could, obviously most people would think that, hey, sports betting probably isn't the greatest thing to be doing, and probably have a lot of rationale for that. And personally, like, I used to gamble. I used to play a lot of poker online and at casinos when I was younger.
What's the most amount of money you've ever won and lost?
I don't remember. I would have lost probably like in one night, maybe $7,000 at one point playing at the 2-5 table.
You remember that night?
Yeah. But I have an amazing ability to hunker down and take crap and abuse. And when you have that personality, that's dangerous when you're gambling. And like I was milking for $25 an hour at the time. So like I would go milk for like 8 hours, make $200 and then go drop $4,000 at the casino, right? Like total disaster. Some nights I won 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000. I don't remember what the most I ever won was, but
guess that's why it's addicting.
That's why it's addicting. And where I was going with that is, first of all, I ended up banning, this is how crazy I was. I banned myself from casinos in BC. Like you can do a self-exclusion ban, and you can ban yourself for 3 months. You go into the private room at the back of this casino, and you just go back there and you say, hey, I got a problem. So I knew I had a problem. Like I was just smart enough to know I had a problem. Then, and I'm like, okay, I can't be coming back here. So I banned myself.
From that particular one, or all casinos?
All casinos in BC.
So you have to show your ID when you go to a casino?
You do now. It's even more, but they also have facial recognition in all their cameras. And like, there's guys wearing costumes at the table for a reason to like hide themselves. Like, okay. I don't know if you've seen that, but like there's guys wearing wigs to get in to get past the ban and all that, right? And sunglasses. So they're pretty sticky about that. They're checking. So I did that. This is, early 2000s. And then, you know what I did? I started driving across the border and going to play poker down in Nooksack. So like, and I get done a night milking at 1 a.m. and drive, like just bizarre, right? And then work all day unloading hay, totally dysfunctional. And the biggest issue is probably the online thing. And so that's what made me think of it. And then I ended up having to sell a townhouse. Like I had a huge amount of gambling debt. So I sold the townhouse back in like 2006 or something, or 7, I can't remember. Paid off all my gambling debt. And since then I haven't made a habit of visiting the casinos to play poker, but it's interesting. So the gambling piece is one piece, but the actual issue, or the heart issue for me, has always been time, right? And obviously the money piece is like, we're supposed to steward our money well. And is that how God would want us to steward our money? Obviously not. But even the time thing, where like, let's say you were making money. Let's say all I ever did was make money and I made a good living. And this is where it gets complicated. Some people would be like, well, that's his living. That's who does for a living. But for me, it was like, you come out of and this is extreme, right? Where I'm using an example of being somebody playing poker for 8 or 10 hours or slot machines or whatever. You come out of the casino, they keep it status quo in that building. So when you come out, it could be broad daylight and you feel like you've been nighttime. Like it's really weird. And I just felt convicted so many times over the years of like, man, I'm like, this is not a good use of my time. Why am I doing this with my time? Right. And it's the same thing with the online thing now, where the young guys like, how much attention, let's say you're doing sports betting, how much energy and attention are you spending, pouring yourself into to study teams, know the odds, do your homework. And there again, is there anything wrong with following the sports? I mean, there again, some people would debate that, there's probably nothing wrong with watching soccer, but like,
The difference
what are we
difference it
worshiping,
makes
right?
if you go read a good book or
just
spend
help
time with-
people. There's just a
help
lot of
spend
people
time
that
with
need a
family.
lot of help, right? Or just, anyway, so it was just that's what made, I don't know how I got
I
onto
was
that
watching a little
rabbit trail.
clip yesterday from a comedian. I can't remember who he was. He was talking to Daily Dad on the podcast that they have, and he was saying how so many of the comedian friends go do more and more and more tours, are making more and more money. He goes, who do you meet, or when do you hear of someone on their deathbed when they're 80, 90 saying, I wish I would have made more money? They always say, I wish I would have spent more time with my family, all of them. And how often do we still find ourselves in that position of wanting more and more and more when that's just not what it gets us? It just gives us a temporary hit, so we can escape. Because it is sometimes hard to just sit, and be present. And
It is hard. Oh,
okay, next segment. We are going to book report. We are reading Killjoys, The Seven Deadly Sins by Marshall Siegel. We're doing a series on that. And right now we are talking about anger. Got a bunch of quotes here what is anger? That I'll just read off. And then we can chat about that. And then, okay, here. You become angry when you define reality as unacceptable and you feel unable to easily correct it, tolerate it, or let go. In its uncorrupted origin, explains Tim Keller, anger is actually a form of love. Anger is how we respond to whatever threatens someone or something we care about. How we perceive and respond to reality has to do with what we value. How do you think about anger? Do you struggle with anger at all?
yeah, I do struggle with anger.
Anger at what?
One child.
One of your kids.
Yeah, one of the six really.
You're going to watch
kindles.
this in 10 years and be like, see, Dad, you even said it.
You even said it. You admitted that, how pathetic you are. No, there's one. She's the strongest one, and she will probably run the country one day or run something. She's awesome, but she can kindle my wrath like nobody else. And it's interesting. I mean, we have 6 kids in our house. It's insane, but she's the one that really pushes my buttons. And I'll be honest, in the last, I've done extremely well in the last while. And I don't know if it's because I'm just parenting less and Marie's pulling more of the weight. It could be a bit of that, but I think it's more just I've been really working on it. Like even through last year when I went through this freedom
How do you
sessions.
work on it? What does that mean?
So in that exact moment where I just really want to respond really poorly, like I know her personality and I know that I need to draw her in, not push her away. I need to and it's almost impossible, right? Because especially if it goes too far, then it's too late. Like if it's the point where I'm like seeing red basically, or just totally unhinged and yelling at her, but I don't want to be that guy, right? And
so you say anger
pull
pushes
her
her away, and what you need to do is pull her
Well,
in.
I'm trying to
When
pull
does
her in.
anger ever push?
No.
When is anger actually helpful? You could almost
It's never helpful.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the books, he talks about God being angry. He talks about righteous anger.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggle, like, for example, I struggle with a lot of addiction. And when I used to go to AA, like, there was this saying that nobody can, like, alcoholics they don't do righteous anger. Like, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
And I would say for most of us, or at least for myself, I should say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do well being angry. It puts me in a very bad headspace, right?
So I had it when I was 7 or 8. That's where when my anger problems really started, and I had like insane temper tantrums. Like there was more holes in the wall of my room than there was drywall left. Like there was just like I would go insane and run the roof.
Do you still punch holes in walls or not?
Never.
Okay, I do.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so I struggle with anger probably more than I actually initially
Well,
admitted here.
I'll get to that. But
Okay.
so, I ended up going to the psych ward and everything because it was so bad. But from all the counseling or getting drugged up or whatever that, I really learned to manage it or suppress it. And I basically just and cool as a cucumber. Especially when things get really like heated and stuff like that, I get really, really calm.
Shut right down.
Yeah, or just calm.
Shut right
But I didn't
down.
realize until the freedom session last year that I actually did have a ton of anger inside. But it was just like, I don't know if I identified it as something else or it came out as, in other ways. But often it can, like you can say, I'm not an angry person, but, that comes out in other ways like bitterness or, just resentments and stuff like that you hold deep inside. But here's another quote from the book. It says, anger is ugly. The truth is, if we press behind the normal instances of our anger, it's ugly. We find ourselves usually perturbed about getting snubbed in social media or being cut off in traffic or going unrecognized for our work or having an idea shot down or feeling underappreciated by our spouse. It is likely because we love ourselves too much. Sinful anger is the result of our disordered loves. Often the shameless self-love. The end of our anger only comes by shalom in our souls, a recalibration of our greatest love and devotion. And I think it's bang on. I mean, it is. I mean, that's also, like, why are we angry at abortion? It's because we love the babies. Why are we angry when someone really is mean to our kids? It's because we love our kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're always together. And usually if we're really angry, if we get slammed, it's because we're loving ourselves in an unhealthy way too much. And we feel like our character or whatever is being attacked.
So, and that, like, the abortion example would be a great example of something where, a lot of people would say, hey, that's where that would be righteous indignation, right? I feel like from my personality and the personal struggles I've had, not that I shouldn't feel anger, but boy, do I need to be careful that I check my motives. And he spends a lot of time in the chapter for those. I don't know how many people have read this, got the book and read it, but it's a phenomenal chapter. And he just talks about that, so, like, how you check your heart, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to your heart. Yeah. Another thing I thought was, he talks about how it's the most dangerous of the deadly sins, right? Well, eventually, because anger leads to death, and talks about Cain and Abel and other examples, right?
Yeah. So a couple of solutions to anger. Number one is analyze anger early. This is a quote from the book. We must get to the source of our anger as quickly as possible. When we find ourselves growing angry, when stress starts to rise and tempers begin to flare, we must hear God's words. What do you have to be angry about? Stop and ask. What is so important to me that I get defensive and emotional? What am I loving so much that my heart is feeling moved to get this angry? Interrogating our affections is the best way to mute our misplaced aggression. One practical way this plays out in my life is parenting. The most consistent cause of my anger is the disobedience of my children. On one hand, it is right to be appropriately incensed by their foolish behavior. I love them. And the trajectory of their foolishness is harm. But on the other hand, their disobedience isn't always the real issue. The tricky question is whether I am angry because I've been inconvenienced by their disobedience. If I am loving my children more than myself, my anger responds with patient and particular care and discipline. They are the objects of my love, and my anger is meant to deal with the threat that foolishness makes against their flourishing. But if I'm mainly concerned with myself, my anger is not love for them. It only deals with the inconvenience their disobedience is to me. It's impulsive, nearsighted, curved on what is best for me, not my children. I am loving myself at that moment, not my children.
Yeah, all about so that was all about worship. What's most important?
Yes,
I had that written down. And I mean, we've had it preached often, but we're always worshiping, right? And our time and our money shows us what we're worshiping.
Yeah.
Another thought I had, and this has been very prevalent. I mean, you would agree with this because you deal with yourself and other people that are struggling in relationship, and it says, it's not symmetrical. We might assume that the opposite of anger is love, but actually the opposite of anger is indifference. And it's interesting how, like, especially when I'm dealing with people that are struggling in their marriages, right? It's like the apathetic people are in tough shape. The people that have thrown in the towel are in tough shape. And another common saying that we use is, conflict is a pathway to intimacy. And obviously you need to do conflict well. It shouldn't be in front of your children. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be derogatory language or anything demeaning. But there's going to be some rub. And one of my challenges in my relationship has been to not do the conflict. And I'm like, oh, I'm a peacemaker. No, you're a conflict avoider.
Yeah.
And I'm basically just, not sharing with Marie how I really feel about something or how she's doing something, how I feel about it. Cause I'm thinking, I just got to suck it up. Well, now you don't have a relationship.
You get resentment underneath.
Oh yeah. It just harbors and festers. And so and the problem is when you're that type of person, when you finally do bring it up, it's built up. The other person's blindsided. They're disappointed because you haven't been transparent with them.
Yeah.
Here they are thinking that, we're doing our relationship pretty well. There hasn't been any real friction. Well, they don't know that you've been basically stuffing 80% of your discontentment. Yeah. And it's and that's why you need good friends like, people like you, where you can bounce stuff off. Hey, am I first, I always say, first run it by a good friend. Yeah. If you can.
Someone that will give you a straight up answer.
Yeah. And then it's like, hey, is this something that I should bring up with my spouse? Or is this one of those times where I should actually just bite my tongue, shut up and just man up or whatever, right? Just be gracious, right? And I think that, so my shortcoming has always been, no, we're good, right? In our marriage meeting conflict section, I'm like, no, we're good. Nothing to report. Well, by Wednesday, it's like, oh, no, I should have brought that up, right? Yeah. So we do a lot better now, but it's been a real challenge for me where I feel like I had one.
I definitely agree with the indifference comment. I remember Dave Curry telling me in marriage counseling when Nicole was like ripping mad about me or something. He's like, Kyle, be thankful she's mad, because that means that
she's not done yet.
She's not done.
She's not
right?
done
like,
yet.
And so so that was okay. Two more quotes here on how to deal and how to fix anger. One, feel ridiculous for your ridiculousness.
Oh yeah, I had that one.
We should feel sorrow or sad for our sin. If we ask the question about the love beneath our anger, Tim Keller says, more often than not, you'll immediately be embarrassed, because many times the thing you're defending is your ego, your pride, your self-esteem. Oftentimes, our anger says that we are self-centered and ridiculous, and we desperately need to hear that. At best, we'll be embarrassed. At worst, we'll despair. It is painful to open the lid on our hearts to this kind of corruption. As twisted as our hearts might be, though, we can face the darkness with a bold and hope-filled sorrow. I love this part. We are bold because the corruption, real and present as it might be, cannot condemn us or defeat us. If we're in Christ, and if you're not in Christ, I encourage you to go to him. If we are in Christ, he has paid the price for our disordered loves. He bore the wrath we deserved, freeing us from sin's guilt. And then the second thing is be enthralled by God. The antidote to anger isn't placid stoicism or cool indifference. It's loving like crazy, what is most lovable. The demise of sinful anger starts with our relentless pursuit of being enthralled by God, to be overcome with him, and then to be moved by him to value all that he values. Mm-hmm. Which I think, ultimately, if we're not satisfied by God as our greatest satisfaction, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Right after that, he said, finishes up the chapter, the antidote to anger isn't placid stoicism or cool indifference. It's loving like crazy what is most lovable.
Yes.
The demise of sinful anger starts with our relentless pursuit to be enthralled by God, to be overcome with him, and then to be moved by him, to value all that he values.
I just read that.
Good stuff. Sorry?
I just read that.
You just read that. I was ahead of you, sorry. Sorry, Kyle.
That's great. It's great.
It was so good. We'll read it twice.
But there's actually the Bible verse. This chapter starts with a piece about Jonah, and Jonah 4 verse 2. It says, "I knew that you are a merciful and compassionate God, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. You are eager to turn back from destroying people." And I thought it was so interesting that it reminded me again how God is slow to get angry and how we're quick to get angry, and how opposite we are to God in that. I always kind of thought of God growing up as quick to get angry and stuff like that, but he is actually opposite of that. And
he's also always angry, though. That was another part in the book.
Yes. Yeah.
Psalm 74.
Just like he's always loving. Yeah. Okay, we are moving on to the next segment. Let's get political. Kyle and Gary talk about current political topic. And Gary did not know about this yet, but today...
Haven't been on the news today.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the Working Canadians rebate, which is Canadians will soon receive a temporary tax break on essential items, children's clothing and diapers, restaurant and pre-prepared meals, and common stocking stuffers, along with a one-time $250 rebate. As of December 14th until February 15th, businesses are expected to remove the GST and HST on qualifying goods at checkout.
What a pain. What a pain. What a nightmare.
The Working Canadians rebate will send a $250 payment in early spring of 2025.
Bribing you with your own money. Bribing you with your own money. And the money printers go...
Pause a second so I can finish this.
Sorry.
The Working Canadians rebate will send a $250 payment in early spring of 2025 to 18.7 million Canadians who make $150,000 per year or less and have filled their 2023 tax return by the end of the year. Trudeau says his government intends to see these relief checks roll out in April. I saw this and I was like, ooh, Gary is going to love this. I thought you would have known about it already, but it just came out today.
I have not been on Twitter or National Post or anything. I have been slammed today. Money
bribing you with your own money?
Bribing you with your own money. Foolishness.
Yes.
And the thing is that every time the government makes a change, and this is where some politicians have run on platforms of, for every new regulation we bring in, we got to get rid of 3. Or any rule changing, because rule changes cost us a lot of money, right? Because now the law is changing and everybody has to understand the new law.
But also for retailers to do this.
That's what I mean. All of a sudden you have to change all your systems and stuff pricing, for the 30 days. Like, what a pain.
Yeah.
And even just your GST when you're, and people that are not entrepreneurs don't know this, but you do your quarterly or annually or however often, monthly, however you do your GST and your PST paperwork, like it's a pain. Now it's like, oh, this month is exempt. oh, this got purchased on this day or bought this day, but actually got picked up 3 days later at the store. Is it exempt? Like, it's just messy. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Especially because they need all the tax revenue they can get. Like,
do you think this is going to help anybody?
of course it's going to help. It's not going to help. No, it's going to help initially. And just like many things that help initially, they end up causing more problems later. And we live in a society
like
that does not, it's like almost any drug. It's like initially, it's like I said to my kids, like you take your first hit on the hookah pipe, like it's going to feel good.
Yes.
Like, that's why it becomes a problem for a lot of people.
Yes, it's like weed.
Because initially, yeah, it's like weed.
Day 12, by the way, sober. For all of you guys that are curious. Gary says I don't talk about it.
They're not as curious as you. No, you don't talk about it enough. But it's cool that you can talk about it when you're not doing it. So it's refreshing.
That's fair.
That's not where we're going with this. Hey, by the way, on that note, are even drugs and alcohol free of GST and PST during that month, or what was
no?
free?
It's
just staples. Yeah. So now we have to sort through the till to figure out exactly.
Yeah, he gave a list of what.
Oh my word.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
You got to remember that people that offer policy, they offer it at their own intelligence level, right? They offer it at the level that they think makes sense, and this speaks to.
That's why I think
current national federal
I think it's important. Like term
level.
Limits, I think in politics is especially important. Like max 4 years, max 6 years, something else like that. Because then you can't have a lifetime politician. Like you should be in the private sector for a long time, and then go work for government for a while because you actually have real life experience and like things like that, and then go and peace out again.
The problem is, and I know this because I've been on the fringes of almost like I ran for city council when I was younger, and often like I was going to potentially run this last time as an MLA. You have a certain type of character that,
loves attention.
Is an attention-seeking whore, as I've been called by my good friends, which isn't very kind, but it's probably partially true. But you have that type of person, and then, you have to be able to handle abuse, especially in today's culture. It's really unfortunate, right? You could be most great people just aren't going to sign up to have them and their family skewered and picked apart.
Yeah.
So it's a horrible fit. Now, to be fair, there are a lot of awesome people and from all sides of the political spectrum that are willing to put their names forward and run, which is awesome. But this idea is a horrible idea. But I think
most things, especially like as a Christian, I think more Christians should be thinking about how can I, what has God called me to do, and how can I have an impact? Because usually it's going to take some sacrifice. Like if you want to become a teacher, that's sacrifice. But a politician, whatever all these things are, like you gotta, like it's. I think we
most
need good people.
They do. I think most people that I talk to, a lot of them are just so. I was going to say disenfranchised. I don't know if that's the right word, but people are so. They feel like it's not going to make that big of a difference, and I would argue the opposite. I would argue the opposite.
So you think I should run?
Yeah, you can totally run. I mean, we'll have to delete the entire
campaign
library of the podcast.
No
right?
way, we're keeping that up. I am who I am. Don't vote for me then.
Okay, fair enough. And it would work. We're at the point now where there's a whole swath. That's why people that are pretty extreme are getting elected, because people are just sick of being lied to. Yeah. And even this, it's like, if you go back.
I'll do a lie detector every year. If I become a politician, like a prime minister or whatever else like that, I'll do a lie detector every year to promise to the people I'm working for, I'm not bullshitting.
You won't stay in power long, I can assure you that. Like it's just not that simple.
I mean,
it's convoluted.
I don't control the results.
No, of the lie detector test.
Well, I'm whatever. Who the people vote for.
Anyways, I did not hear about that. I find that really discouraging. I think that if you're listening to this, I mean, we got a bunch of Bitcoiners listening. I know that I'd be buying gold and silver and precious metals because your dollar's getting devalued faster than you can stockpile it. It's a disaster.
Bitcoin,
baby, to the moon.
Oh. I had 18 Bitcoin at one time, and then I did the math. Someone did the math this week. I was out for lunch with a guy, and he's like, "You at 18? Let me do the math on that." And I was like 2.7 million or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, get out of here." Anyways, wouldn't have been good for me. Anyway.
You would no.
It's yeah. Okay.
The good Lord knows who they can give He can give 2.7 million, and obviously you weren't one of them. Not at that point yet.
Okay. Moving on. Next segment: Words of a Wise Man, reflecting on biblical proverb from Solomon and talking about it. Proverbs 27:5-6 says, "An open rebuke is better than hidden love."
Oh, it's one of my favorite.
Words from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from the enemy.
Read it one more time, very slowly.
An open rebuke is better than hidden love. Words from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from the enemy. And my greatest example of this is you and my buddy Trey have been always super direct and honest with me and called me on my bullshit. And it has been so, so helpful.
Yeah. And you're the same way. So I would give you that. I would say you're the same type of friend. Truth speaker, uncomfortable at times, stinging. Is it saying that in the verse? Stinging rebuke? What does it say?
It says it's better than hidden love. Open rebuke is better than
Open
hidden
rebuke,
love. Yeah, an open rebuke. I agree. I mean, if you actually do care about someone and you know they're doing something that's not good.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people listening right now that this verse applies to. This is one of the most common frustrations of mine. Okay. People have friends that are dating people they shouldn't be. They have people in their life that are, just lots of practical things that they're not doing well. And you don't need to be self-righteous. And we can all admit, most of us, I can start with a whole laundry list of all the areas that I sin and struggle. And I often do that. There's no pretension there. But when we are close to somebody, we have a window into their life that a lot of people wouldn't have. Yeah. And not everybody has the pastor hanging out with them as a friend. And not even that the pastor's expected to be that person to everybody. You know what I mean? People don't necessarily have somebody in that position of authority that would speak in their life. Yeah. But we all do life with people. And especially if you're calling yourself a Christian, I mean, you should periodically be challenging somebody on something they're doing. And somebody, if you're being honest, somebody should be challenging you.
Well, I think it goes back to the what we started with, like work on yourself first. If you're giving it but not taking it, then shut up. Like, I think that's the more common thing, or even the resistance why people aren't openly giving someone or open rebuke when they should be a friend. It's because they're doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they're not willing to
themselves.
They're not willing to receive truth themselves.
It's mostly that people want to be liked, and their idol is being liked.
Yeah, and being accepted.
And it's like, boy, if I speak truth to this person, this could ruin our relationship. Yeah, so what? Like, do the person a favor. And I have had it many times, because I'm getting to be older now, where people have come back a year later, months later.
Have you lost friendships?
Yes, I've lost friendships, but I've had a lot of people. I've had letters from people in the last year that have thanked me, and I've went back and we've reconciled, and I went humbly to them, or I think I tried to, and said, hey, this is just so blatantly, obviously not wise that you could run this by 10 people on the side of the street that would say this is not wise. But most people we keep to ourselves. We live very insular now, the way we live, even though everything's public. And the same token, we're actually very hidden, right? We don't do life with our neighbors like would have happened 50 years ago. And so, if you have that window into someone's life and you're doing a relationship with someone, you're like, oh man, this is not a wise choice. Go with your gut. Like your gut, that's the spirit. It's
but go with your gut. But I would also say, if you realize it, don't say it right away. Go pray about it for a couple of days.
Give her a day.
Call a friend and say, hey, I see
hypothetically,
this.
Hypothetically, don't be gossiping. Don't give names. Don't be gossiping. No.
And say, hey, I have a buddy that's doing this, or a girlfriend that's doing that. Get wisdom first and stuff like that. Think about it, because sometimes it can just be this, self-righteous, I'm better than you.
Yeah. And then on the flip side is what the other piece you're talking about is treasure that person, because if you're the person getting reprimanded, especially if it's done in love. And of course, it never feels that loving, because it always hurts to get a verbal spanking from somebody, right, Kyle?
Well, I mean,
it hurts, and when you challenge me, it stings a bit. And I know. But I know you. But I know you.
I knew when you did them that you cared.
Yeah. So that would be important. But I guess even if let's just say you don't have a super close relationship, but somebody challenges you, and maybe they are self-righteous a bit, it's still a gift. It's a gift if you are on the wrong path, doing the wrong thing, to be corrected by somebody. Yes. And if it's a close friend, your instant reaction is going to be to defend, to justify, but you think about it. You think about what that person is risking to speak truth to you, right? They're risking something. And so it's pretty special. And so I have multiple friends like this, and you'd be in that camp. And I got a couple other buddies that I would totally put in that camp that have, they call me names when I need to be called names. And that, I'm thankful for that. It's a real blessing.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. I mean, I think it's what real friendship is. I mean, I think there is very little real friendship in this world.
If you're,
So anyways, next segment, last one.
Pretty intense.
Now that's funny. New one, sharing funny stories or moments from recent days.
Do you have one?
Yes. I was looking at the Babylon Bee today. They had an amazing article, which is titled, Baptists Announce Dancing Now Allowed, but only if it's the Trump dance.
Oh, it's so awful.
Everyone's to do the Trump dance. And it's funny because growing up, dancing was just like the Baptist circles, which down south and stuff like that. Dancing, no go, very bad.
It is bad. You know why?
It's so bad.
Because dancing is the vertical expressions of your horizontal desires.
Okay, no, this is
slow her down for you.
Yeah, slow her down.
Too fast.
Too fast.
I'll say it one more time.
Say it again.
Dancing is the vertical expression of your horizontal desires. That's why we didn't dance as kids.
Okay. I still don't fully get it, but I'm kind of slow when it comes to things. I need things like laid out pretty plainly.
Well,
maybe that's
no
why
pun
I speak so
intended.
plainly.
No pun intended, then. Bad joke. We got to move on.
But I mean, I think dancing. Are you opposed to dancing?
No, I'm not opposed to dancing, but I mean, they danced in the Bible.
Yeah, they did dance.
Yeah, it's funny how I say danced in the Bible.
Why are
it's just because we have our culture. Why are people against it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it would be wrong. There'd be a lot of dance. The bulk of the dancing that's happening in our culture is not
fair enough.
okay.
Like at clubs and things like that. Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah, it gets different. But like if you have like a dance with your wife,
Nope. Marie and I we took slow dancing classes at one point in our marriage.
Just for connecting?
Just because of the saying from my childhood, right? So I was just...
You had to go do it against it?
No. Anyways. We got to move on. We got to move on from dancing. Is this our last segment?
Yeah, it is.
I was going to open with, and I should have opened with, because we almost had to change our name of our podcast this week, right?
Why?
Well, because my briefcase got stolen.
Oh, okay. Someone sent a message to me somewhere today. I can't remember.
That you had to change the name of the podcast because Gary lost his briefcase.
Okay. How'd your briefcase get stolen?
Well,
we talk about it in overtime?
Well, we will. I'll tell the whole story in overtime, but I'll start by saying I was at a church meeting the other night, and I came out, and both my back windows of my truck were smashed out.
Oh.
Like smashed right out, and it was raining and blowing sideways, and I wanted to get in the fetal position and start crying. But
you didn't respond with anger?
I did not respond with anger. Wow. It's part of the story. I'll share that in a minute, what happens. But the briefcase is gone. The MacBook's gone. Everything is gone. All my checkbooks. I had like 8 different checkbooks from 8 different companies in the thing. Gone. Like gift certificates, all kinds of stuff, right?
Okay. Whole story coming up. Thanks for listening, guys. We're going to overtime, where Gary and I have a non-script open conversation about whatever comes to mind. You can watch those and support the show with the Patreon link in the description. Or if you're listening on Spotify, you can see them there and hopefully be on Apple Podcasts soon. But
have a great week.
Appreciate you guys. Talk soon. And don't forget to send in your questions. We want to hear from you. So cheers.
Oh, and baptism.
Baptism? What about baptism?
I had more questions about it.
Oh, we got baptism in overtime. More baptism stuff in overtime if you want to get baptized.